Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of Stay on Target, the official Hazard Time podcast. I'm your host, Liam, and I'm joined today by my co host, Richard. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm doing okay, Liam. How are you?
I'm doing really good, you know. I think
That's good.
today's been a good. Uh, so I was thinking for this episode, since it's our third episode, we would talk about trilogies. You know,
Okay.
some of our some of our favorite trilogies, maybe what makes a trilogy work. Do you have a favorite trilogy, maybe?
Oh, that is a tough one. But I think I've got two
Hmm.
that I would say. I think my favorite trilogy's got to be Lord of the Rings.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good answer, and I feel like with a lot of these things, there could be some contention. It's like, should that really count? Such a big combined story, almost like one solid thing.
Well, isn't that like
Okay, I'm back.
good?
Hello, Dimitri. How are you doing today?
Well, you started it without me, didn't you?
Yeah, we
that
did.
that is ludicrous. What would ever make you say that?
Means I never left. So now I just sound like an ass coming back. You know what my favorite trilogy is?
What's
What?
that?
Equation of Doom. What do you think?
Oh, of course. I should have picked that. I changed my vote.
Okay, well, so that's two for Equation of Doom.
Yeah, that's easily the best trilogy ever made.
It's true.
For all
Okay,
you hip folks out there, you haven't seen it, go watch it now.
so do we have a second favorite amongst the group then?
I mean,
Well,
Richard was kind of right in saying Lord of the Rings.
It's a good answer. I mean, and I think a lot of people will
It's a
say it
good
doesn't count.
answer, Richard.
thank you, thank
It's
you. I tried.
quality answer.
I'm
When
kind
do
of
I get my
partial
award?
to the Toy Story trilogy.
Yeah, but like how Toy Story 4 is coming out now, so how are you going to, how are you going to take that? Is it still going to be the trilogy, or?
Yeah, because the way I see it, Toy Story 4 wasn't really planned, at least when they were making Toy Story 2. So it's
Was
not
Toy
like,
Story 3?
what?
Was Toy Story 3 planned?
I don't know, but it's like
I mean,
less
that's just a
obvious.
criteria because I don't think any of them were like ever planned out to be a thing.
Wait, so you're
What I'm
saying
saying is
4
like,
isn't relevant because 3 wasn't relevant?
well, I think what I'm saying is it all depends on how they were planned and how they were structured. I mean, honestly, you could even argue that the three Toy Story movies aren't even a trilogy; they're just three movies.
So your favorite is Mute.
I
Potentially, I mean,
don't know. I think
I
yeah.
say look at Indiana Jones. There is the fourth, but that one, two, and three, that's definitely a trilogy. Especially
Is
when you compare one to three.
Well, then I think what you're kind of I don't know if I don't think this is what you're saying, but I think what I'm gathering from what you're saying is basically a trilogy is in the eye of the beholder. Like,
haven't we gone over this before?
Kind of. Okay, here's what I'll say is
Liam tried to prove something. I don't remember what.
it wasn't
Was
on a
that?
podcast, so it's not relevant.
I can't
probably
remember
that
what it
Frankenstein was
was.
his favorite character.
Yeah, it was something to try to make us secretly agree on something. What would you consider Arrested Development?
All right. We're not going to go there right now, though. We'll save that for a later podcast. I know what you're talking about with Welcome. But I'd say the key to a trilogy is that the third one has to
It
bring it back full
was.
circle and tie back into the first one.
Oh, it was a trilogy. We did because you're like, is a trilogy just three movies in the same universe, like consecutively, or we had some talk about what a trilogy was, the definition.
Very, you know,
At some point in our long friendship, we probably have.
Well, mine is RoboCop actually.
Oh,
Did
I've
they,
never even seen the sequels to RoboCop.
did they do
You don't
with
want
RoboCop 3?
Yeah, RoboCop 3 is pretty cool actually.
Now,
He's like fight samurais.
does
They're ninjas.
RoboCop 3 tie back into RoboCop 1 in some way?
Well,
Yeah.
it's up.
But I guess that's a trilogy. I mean, as long as it ties back to the first one, as long as the third ties back to the first one and somehow and kind of goes full circle, then I would say yeah, I would consider that a trilogy.
I think what you're saying is that it has to be one story ultimately.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, obviously,
Like, look at Indiana Jones. They're all different stories.
but the third one does tie back into the first one a lot. The Ark of the Covenant is very similar to the Holy Grail. I mean, it's not like magic rocks from India. They're
Sure.
Judeo-Christian artifacts they're finding. He goes back to
Nazi gold.
Nazis are in it, the desert. You bring back Sala and Marcus Grody, who weren't in the second one.
Yeah, Liam's got a point there. In that the third Indiana Jones is most similar to the first Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but
If
then
that
there's a
is a point.
second. Shouldn't all of them tie back?
You don't have to, I think.
So you could just make one movie and the second one just completely different.
Completely different.
Isn't
Then
that
the
what they
third
did
one.
with Indiana Jones, though? The
Yeah,
second one is
that's what we're
completely different.
arguing. That's what I'm arguing. Is that a trilogy? If the second one is
Honestly, if we're going off of like dictionary definitions, I think any set of 3 movies, if they're sequels, is a trilogy. It's a trilogy is
do they
just
just have to be in the same
2 sequels.
universe?
And look at, you mentioned Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings episode, the third one ties back into the first one. They literally go back to where they started. All goes back to the Shire.
Yeah, but they're. I mean,
Bat, the
that
Batman
whole
trilogy.
thing is a trilogy. That is a whole overarching story.
Yeah, it's one story in the
Hmm.
3 movies.
But
Look at
Indiana Jones is like they're more separated. It's like a serial almost. Like it's.
Yeah.
okay. Well, what about the Batman trilogy, Dark Knight trilogy? I think that's a really good example of what I'm saying.
I haven't seen all 3 of them in enough time to remember.
Well, I would say
No,
Dark
but
Knight
they're not.
Rises ties back to Batman Begins a lot with
Yes,
uh,
it
the,
does.
the, the League of Shadows, Ra's al Ghul, a lot of themes and imagery, rising from the pit.
It's rising from the pit. Oh, I hate
Well,
that.
well, yeah, I mean, and bats. I don't even think there are bats in the Dark Knight.
There's one bat.
Well, yeah, besides
there's,
Batman,
there's the Man Bat.
besides Batman and the wannabe Batmans, there's no winged animal bats in the Dark Knight that I can remember. I
But
could be
is there
wrong.
rising from the pit?
No, there is no rising
If
from the
he's
pit.
not climbing
Is
out of
the-
the pit, I don't care.
Is there push-ups? Because the Batman Begins
He does do
has
some like weird.
push-ups.
Does he do like
And-
push-up claps?
Well, no,
Or,
no,
like-
no. He wakes up from bed and immediately drops and does push-ups.
But they're not just normal
Is
push-ups.
that
They're
not
special.
you That's my morning routine.
No, the special is. Well, no. I'm pretty sure the specialness is that he wakes up and then just like completely drops to the ground.
But besides that, they're normal push-ups. He's not like one-handed or on his
Pretty
fingers
sure
or
they're
on
just
his knuckles. Huh? I have to
Really,
watch that.
you'd expect more from Batman, but he just does push-ups.
You could do that
Tried and true
weird
method.
like.
Don't have to
You
mess
could do.
with success.
You could do that weird like
But-
thing that the Arrow guy does, where he like lunges up on like a rack. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, in Green Arrow?
Yeah, in the
I'm sure it's something to display his
Yeah, it's
chiseled
just
physique.
to
So,
show-
I mean,
show
it seems
illegal
like
fitness.
extremely tough to do.
well, yeah, because all that they did for that show was just train this guy.
All right,
Made
in
him
this
into
scene,
a muscle.
you're gonna fight a criminal, but in order to get to him, you have to do the salmon ladder from Ninja Warrior.
And then rip off your shirt in the process.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck was like pulling the tire. I guess that's a workout. Seems kind of simple though, pulling a tire.
See, and then Alfred even remarks that he does all those push-ups and he can't even lift a bloody log.
Ah, yeah, good call.
So obviously, maybe he should incorporate some different things.
Yeah. I guess so. Sit-ups at least.
Yeah, some sit-ups, some dips.
A pull-up or two.
Yeah, 2 pull-ups maybe.
There's the Star Wars trilogy.
Which one?
All of them.
Well, see, that's interesting to say. Are they 2 separate trilogies?
Yeah.
Well, they're not a trilogy if you're including more than 3.
But that's the thing. Are they?
Can you call them each a trilogy,
yeah,
or is it
is
just like
6
trilogy?
or is 4 through 6 a trilogy?
Yes. 4 through 6
No,
is a
no.
trilogy.
But there's more story that needs to be watched to appreciate them all in order to complete the story.
No, actually, I disagree with you because the other ones are a different story.
Look at Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You don't need to read the book or watch the Hobbit book.
Fair
You don't need The Hobbit to appreciate Lord of the Rings. You don't need The Rise of Darth Vader to appreciate.
It's fair. I guess in order to get the whole story, you need to watch them all. But I guess
Right,
maybe
but
you
they
just
are
watch
still
them.
their own.
So they're a
separate
trilogy. Then.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite trilogies is the original Star Wars. Then.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of people would say that too. And look, Return of the Jedi goes full circle back to A New Hope. You know, going back to Tatooine, dealing with a new Death Star again, going back full circle.
But then it's. I mean, that goes back full circle, but that's not a trilogy because there's more than 3 movies.
No, he's saying
no. Tatooine from New Hope. Return of the Jedi goes back to A New Hope by revisiting Tatooine, having another Death Star.
Oh, Return. I thought you said what is it?
Revenge of the Sith.
No, fucking what's the new one? The Last Jedi. I thought you said The Last Jedi.
Star Wars has 3 trilogies, but then it's like a trilogy of trilogies.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which actually work because there's a lot of similar elements between the new trilogy to the original trilogy.
It's like, yeah, too many.
Yeah, that's. You have the remake trilogy, you have the original trilogy, and then you have the unloved trilogy.
Yeah, exactly.
For everyone.
There's a trilogy for everybody.
And there's nothing for anyone.
Honestly, the prequel trilogy's got to be one of my favorite trilogies of all time.
The prequel, really?
Yeah, I love them.
I don't know if you're being serious, but I do love me some Revenge of the Sith.
You know, in a way, I am being serious. I think that it's fun to make fun of them, and unironically, I know they're horrible movies, but I enjoy them nonetheless.
They hold a special place in your heart.
Oh yeah.
I would say the prequels come full circle, but they don't really like. Prequels is just kind of like a line.
When did you realize they were bad movies, Richard? When did you come of age to Star Wars?
Probably. That's a good question. Not immediately.
Yeah.
But certain parts
surely
of it
you weren't in the theater like oh, this is a bad movie.
Like the first time I saw Phantom Menace, I didn't think it was a bad movie, but I did think that Jar Jar was annoying. And the first time I saw Attack of the Clones, I didn't think that was a bad movie, but there was something about it that irritated. Just Anakin as a person, I think.
So,
and then the first time
you saw them in theaters?
No, not those two. The only one I saw in theaters was Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so how old were you when you saw the first one?
That's a good question. How old was I? Probably like
1 year younger than me.
What?
1 year younger than me. That's how old he was.
Yes. Thank you, Liam, for being a year older than me. I think I was in like 6th grade.
Okay, so okay. See, okay, I
Well,
saw it in
skip me now.
theaters.
What ones did you see in theaters, Dimitri?
I saw all of them in theaters. The prequel
When
Phantom
did you
Menace included?
when did you realize?
Well, I mean, I guess I realized when everybody else told me. Because I didn't really like. I don't know. Like when I actually watched, I don't think I still have actually watched a Phantom Menace after realizing that they're not great.
Oh well, you should because it is something.
Because when I
See,
saw it in theaters, I loved it. Jar Jar was
Yeah.
awesome. I love Jar Jar.
Oh, I couldn't stand Jar Jar. Even
But I
in
was
the
also like, how old? So
see, I think with me, I realized the prequels were bad. The same time I realized the originals weren't perfect. So, I guess it would be about the time of probably Lord of the Rings, around there that time when I started really getting to Lord of the Rings. Like,
God, these movies are good.
yeah.
That
Well,
means that
hang on.
these are.
and then of course I realized how bad the prequels truly are when I watched Red Letter Media, because you need to watch those Mr. Plinkett reviews to really understand just how bad the prequels are.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I
he
think I
talks about them.
understand.
Like you could get into any movie that in depth and start bashing on it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's bashing. I don't know if I would call it bashing, 'cause the
I mean,
things he's
they're
I guess
they're
like
bad movies.
it was they're terrible, but I don't know. I think I think sometimes people are too harsh on them.
That's fair. I think I might agree with you there. That sometimes maybe
And
they
because
get
of
well, it's
a
just like
little bit
it's a
too much.
popular thing.
it's
Making
because
fun of
of
these movies is a popular thing to do.
well nowadays, yeah. But when they first came out, nobody's making fun of it.
I saw Return of the Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and my theater stood up and clapped when it was over.
Yeah, so did
Yeah,
mine, I think.
yeah. See,
Only
it's
movie that had a standing ovation I've ever seen.
well,
Really?
guess. But go ahead, Richard.
No, I was just gonna say that's the only one that you've seen that got a I feel like I go to theaters all the time and some idiot stands up and
Yeah, but collectively, the whole
yeah.
audience,
I mean, every Star Wars movie I've seen in theaters for one.
other than um, Water for Elephants.
That got a standing ovation.
Yes, Water for Elephants got a standing ovation. I don't know why.
Is that the Robert
Yes, the Reese
Pattinson
Witherspoon,
Emily
Robert
D. Raven
Pattinson.
movie? Oh, wait, Reese Witherspoon? Not you sure it wasn't
Yeah,
Emily D. Raven?
I don't know. I thought it was Reese Witherspoon.
No,
I
I
mean,
don't think it is.
they do kind of look similar.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
they probably look similar. I don't remember.
I mean, they're
I,
both
I never
blondes,
saw it.
old,
No,
both blondes.
It's Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
I know what I'm about. Okay, I saw it.
Get a standing ovation.
It did, man. Like I didn't want to see this movie anyway, but of course I had to go see it with my grandma and my sister, and like people were like crying halfway through with fucking elephants, like everything. Like
That
all of a
Was there
reminds
sudden,
elephants in the movie?
I think I do remember another movie I saw that got a standing ovation that didn't deserve it, and I think it was War Horse.
Gee,
yeah,
of
see,
course, of course.
like these people going to watch movies like this, and something sad happens, and at the end, all of a sudden, some somebody's got to clap, and then some old person stands up and starts clapping, and all of a sudden, the whole theater starts clapping.
I can totally see some Steven Spielberg schlock getting a standing ovation. Just because
You say
they're
schlock?
good, they're just
Yeah.
schlock.
Well, schlock nowadays.
I mean, Steven
Close
Spielberg
Encounters of the
schlock
Third
is still
Kind
It's
isn't
kind of
schlock.
one of the greatest movies.
no. I mean, like
Career.
War Horse is schlock. Lincoln is schlock. The Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies is schlock. That movie.
He's really upset about Netflix movies.
Is he really?
Yeah, he does not seem like a fun person to talk to in real life.
I
Like,
think people are like misquoting or he has some. If you read into it, some of his concerns are valid. It's not just like, man, I don't like Netflix.
Well, no, his concerns. The article I was reading was that he was upset about them potentially being like put up for an Academy Award or something.
Oh yeah, I read that.
I'm not going to say anything more about it because I guess I don't remember, but just
Yeah, I don't
kind of
really
seemed
remember.
like he was.
Yeah, he was like upset that they would be included in the Oscars or something.
Yeah, it seemed kind of snobbish.
He has
Yeah.
he had a reason for saying that, and I think
I felt like his reason wasn't.
there was some validity to his reason.
Yeah, well, it was like because of the way that they're presented and supposed to be watched, or something, and like it's like a movie for this medium versus this medium is like whole different things. I don't know.
I mean, but though it's a movie.
It's a movie.
I mean, like
But you
animated
don't
movies and
see
live action movies are different, but they're still, you know.
you don't see Hallmark movies getting Oscar stuff.
Because they're not good.
Because they're not good, but if
I
they
don't think
were
Netflix.
good,
I don't think Netflix movies are any good either.
Yeah, but if one would come along. Speaking of Netflix, maybe I don't know. Swamp Thing, is that on Netflix?
That's DC extended. That's the DC streaming service.
Well, apparently they canceled it after like the second episode or something.
Yeah, it wasn't.
well,
It
I
has
don't know
nothing to
what
do
it
with.
is, and I've never heard of it. But if it's called Swamp Thing, I can't imagine it doing that well.
Richard, you could like Swamp Thing.
What is
No,
it?
apparently it's really good. The
Well,
quality is not why they canceled it.
Well, yeah, I didn't look into it any further.
The
Swamp Thing
reason
is
they
like he's a superhero, a DC superhero, but he's like earthly. He's like from the earth. He uses like powers with
From
like
the swamp.
well from the swamp. Yeah, he's like it's like with birds all the time and like it's like a half tree, half man. He's a swamp thing, and his enemies are just like crazy, like weird mutant people. Like,
Yeah, okay, I'd watch it.
See, the reason it got canceled is, I mean, I'm not completely sure about all the things, but it was really expensive to make, and they were expecting like this tax break, but there was like some problem, like paperwork mix up or something, and they didn't get the tax break they were going to get, so they just couldn't, financially keep going for it. So
I hate when
Is
that
there no
happens.
way to like just make it cheaper? Like
Guess
degrade the quality of the swamp effect?
Look, Richard,
during
it's
the
Swamp Thing, okay? You can't just degrade the quality.
Fair enough.
But I guess the DC streaming stuff has been pretty good. Like,
You know what part of their problem is that they have their own streaming service. How about that?
yes, I think we don't. It's gonna be started on these endless streaming services.
Well, here's the thing about them. It's like we don't know, what it costs to pay for cable, okay? Because we don't, we never really bought cable.
Good
We
point.
weren't old enough to buy cable.
But they're just
So-
bringing cable back. This is just like
Well,
cable
but they
2.0 now at this
are,
point.
but you get to pick and choose. That's the thing.
But you could pick and
Yeah,
choose
but
with cable.
Well,
So
no, it was like packages, and then you could pick and choose.
Yeah, so it's do you want the Netflix package, or do you want the Hulu package, or do you want the Amazon Prime package? Or
But you're getting a lot more bang for your buck.
well, not
people
if
are forgetting
it's
the
not the
reason
same.
why they're forgetting the reason why people wanted Netflix in the first place. It was because all this stuff was in one place and it was easy and simple and cheap.
Yeah,
and now
well,
it's
but now you go to Hulu for like what, $5 a month or something?
like 11.
Yeah,
Oh,
but even
you're
then,
stupid.
let's say
You
you get
should-
Hulu and Amazon and Netflix, just the big three.
Yeah.
Each one of those is $10 a month. Then that's $30 a month for just those three. And then if everything else gets their own streaming service, then you have to buy like
Yeah, I know. I'm not
five.
exactly
You're
defending
paying
it, but
$50 a month.
yeah, I don't know. It's raw. It's really messed up. You got
I
People are just
Disney
gonna go back
streaming.
to
You're right. So I
people are
don't
just
know.
gonna go back to torrenting and stuff like that.
I know, right? It's been a nice age where you haven't had to torrent anything for a while, but then all of a
I
sudden,
mean, I've never torrented anything in my entire life, so I never do that. I would never do something like that.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You would never do that either, right, Richard?
Actually, I never have, to be honest.
See, have you?
okay.
You've never done it either, correct,
I
Richard?
have no. I
Correct,
have
Dimitri?
people.
Look, I have done it. I'm not a
Dimitri,
bitch like you, Liam.
Dimitri, you're
Say
supposed
I
to
have
say. Wait, what is torrenting?
torrenting. It's like somebody hosts. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think somebody
I'm
hosts a file and then like they kind of share it to like a server or something, and then you can allow other people to like download it from there.
because I may not have actually done that.
If you don't think you've done it, you haven't done it.
I know I haven't done it. I just steal other people's files after they've done it.
You
Just
got to
like
hook up.
torrenting is like you have to go through a process and download like a specific program. So you'd probably know if you did it.
I've never downloaded a movie or a TV show. Well, when I was really young, I downloaded movies and TV shows and got in trouble for. I was like 10 years old or something, and we had some people come to our house like, "Hey, you can't do that. Stop it."
People came to
Really?
your house.
Yeah. So I think I was trying to download The Dark Knight.
You know how many things I've downloaded? It's never happened. It's probably because you didn't torrent.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up downloading like some weird fan edit of some of the Schumacher Batmans.
That sucks.
And like it was like the one with Two-Face and the Riddler, but it was like a weird fan edit that was called like The Dark Knight something.
Like we just want to tell you that your son's been downloading fan edits of the bad Batmans.
Just so
Fix
you
this
know.
behavior.
Was it like I didn't
And we're not going to
know
say
it was a
it's
fan edit,
illegal,
so
but you shouldn't raise a child this way.
I didn't know it was the fan edit because like later on in life I watched some of that movie. I was like, this is different. Where's this scene? What's going on here?
I still haven't seen
Why
all
are
of
they all
John.
wearing clothes?
Why aren't they wearing any clothes? Well, this is different.
Well, I know for a fact. In all seriousness,
Liam goes
I
over to his
never
friend.
illegally
Hey, we're gonna
downloaded
watch
stuff.
that Batman movie. Do you want to see it? Oh, sure. And then halfway through, Liam's like, "Hey, wait! They skipped the spanking scene."
Yeah.
And I think the worst part is I was downloading it to my MP3 player that had a screen, and that's how I was watching stuff.
Simpler times.
I was downloading it to my Zune.
Zoom.
No, not Zune.
My Halo 3 Zoom.
What was it? A SanDisk?
Yeah, your Sansa.
Yeah, my Sansa SanDisk.
Yeah.
Ooh, I missed that. I still got that somewhere in my mess of a room. I think it might still have some stuff on it. Not illegal stuff, but not presentable stuff.
You know what I take for granted a lot?
What?
What's that?
The fact that I can look at my bank account anytime on my phone.
Mm.
Like back in the days, like people had to balance their checkbooks and
Oh yeah.
do this and that and keep mental tracks. But nowadays you'd be like, oh shit, do I have enough money for this? Yep, okay, I'm good. Like, no way. Like I remember for the short time that I did have a bank account without that ability, I like paid like $30 in overdraft fees for like milk a couple times. Like,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's pretty funny.
so
But
yeah, I
yeah,
think
you're right. That is, things that we don't think about.
like
Different era.
nowadays are taking Swamp Thing for granted. One day it'll just get canceled. We won't
TV
have it anymore.
Swamp Thing.
Should have enjoyed that 2 episodes while you had the chance.
It reminds me of like the Caveman TV show, the Geico one.
The Geico Caveman TV show lasted
Yeah.
3 episodes.
I guess the difference is people liked Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but you know, one and the same. They all go away.
Tell him that you didn't enjoy the Geico Caveman TV show.
Yeah. No, I never saw it. I do.
Oh,
I remember.
Episode.
You watched it.
I watched it on TV. I was like, oh boy, here it comes.
What was it about? What
What a
happened?
wild time.
It was about the Geico Caveman commercials.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's about, but what does he do? Is it like his life?
It's just his life. So the point of the commercials series was that even though they were cavemen, they were living like, regular, sophisticated people, or trying to anyway. And so the show was just about these cavemen who were trying to live.
Pretty much, they took those
Sophisticated.
commercials and stretched them out like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
I
Wasn't
would watch
Brad
that.
Pitt in it or something?
What'd you say?
Wasn't Brad Pitt in it or something like that?
No, that can't be right.
Oh, maybe. I thought of who played the caveman.
I don't know,
remember.
but
I really like the caveman commercial where it's like, does a caveman make fire and he's just like sitting on the couch and like sighs and presses a button and the fireplace turns on. I like that.
Caveman. It was called Caveman.
There's a woodchuck chuck wood.
Can switching to Geico really save you?
I liked that guy.
More coverage?
That was a good commercial series.
Is a bird in the hand worth 2 in the bush? And what you see you have here is 1 bird in the hand, and I would say that this is worth 2 in the bush. Oh my god! It's like an Antiques Roadshow. Like,
I like the one with the chess where they're playing chess and it's like a football announcer.
what?
It had 13 episodes.
Oh,
Oh,
wow!
plus never mind.
Well, they didn't air.
No. 6 aired.
Woodchucks. Do woodchucks chuck wood? Hey, you woodchucks! Stop chucking my wood! And
I like the Direct TV.
The what?
The Direct TV, like, what was it? Like the eye patch one. What was it like when people think you're tough, people want to see how tough.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
and when people see how tough, you end up in a roadside ditch. Don't end up in a
It was like a
roadside
whole
ditch.
series, like you get cable, or because you have cable, something happens to you, and then it just is this like snowball effect until you end up in a roadside ditch.
Yeah, it was like when you have cable, you get angry. When you get angry, you throw things. When you throw things, you need to wear an eye patch.
Yeah, that's right.
When you wear an eye patch, people
They
think
were also
you're
the
tough.
ones that were people who enjoy things that you don't enjoy.
What?
Like, it was like someone like bang their head on the stub their toe and they would start laughing.
Oh, I think I remember that.
It was like people who enjoyed stuff that normal people don't enjoy. I don't know. I don't remember what it was for. I think it was for like a Direct TV or something.
Of course, nothing beats the German commercial.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that's the best commercial.
German commercial.
We're sinking. We're sinking.
I don't know that at all.
What are you thinking about?
How do you not know that?
I
Oh my
don't.
God, Hergero showed us it like 20 times.
I don't remember that.
It was like the guy in the submarine,
Uh-huh.
and they were
you know
like, he's
what?
like
I don't remember
distressing.
seeing that commercial at all, but I remember Hergitos making that joke, making
Yeah.
that rep.
They're like, we're sinking, we're sinking.
This was all in the German class that we all took. It was a good class. Did you see the My Name is Peggy commercials?
My name is Peggy.
Yeah. Those were good. Welcome to USA Prime Credit. My name Peggy. Peggy. He's in this like some shack in the middle of Siberia or something.
It's pretty good.
My name Peggy.
You know, when was the last time anybody's even watched cable television?
Shit. I don't know, man. Does it even exist?
I'm not even sure what cable television is.
Future is now, old man.
Future is now.
Futures now.
Have you noticed people are using red versus blue memes now? The wait, that's illegal. Have you seen that?
No.
I mean, that's not that new.
I think it's been coming up more recently. Church, a gif of
There were
church
private
going, wait,
times on the memes, man. That was like 4 months ago.
Dang, Liam.
how would you know? You don't even have internet.
Excuse me. The precious internet that I do have, I use for one thing and one thing only, Liam. Memes.
Porn.
Two
Yeah,
things.
yeah, porn. Do it.
Talking to your best friends in the world.
Yeah, sure,
Yes.
that. Also, memes.
Wait, did you end up watching Game of Thrones, Richard?
Yeah, I finished it.
What did you think?
Oh my god. Whatever I say has already been said. So,
Yeah.
Alright, I'll be right back.
But I mean, I would say overall, Game of Thrones, I was fine with the decisions they made. I didn't like how they handled it.
oh, I wasn't fine with how they did it or that they did it, to be honest. I thought it was all a mess.
What didn't you like specifically? Like, you didn't like Daenerys going mad?
All of it. I don't know. It just nothing seemed to make like any sort of logical sense as far as
Alright, I'm
finishing
back.
up nicely.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So, as an outsider that hasn't seen Game of Thrones, because I don't watch Game of Thrones,
Ooh, good for you, man. Tell us more about
Alright.
how you're unique.
I don't watch Game of Thrones. Anyway, was the ending as bad as everybody says it is?
Yeah.
I
I've heard-
would say no. I think people
Yeah.
are being hard. I'd say people are being hard on it.
I would say no. People are not being hard on it. It is that bad.
Yeah, I've heard it's about split. I've asked a couple people.
Well, I mean, I would say the ending specifically the last episode, was one of the better of the season.
Sure.
Yeah, but I've
it-
heard the season was garbage.
The season was garbage.
So the ending sucked.
There are some. Okay, well, I guess it depends on what you're saying by ending. Are you specifically talking about like the very last episode?
Well, even the very last episode, I disagree with you that it was better than the other ones because I just disagree. It was really
Well,
bad.
the ending of the show, because it has ended, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so was the ending acceptable?
No.
Okay.
But the main problem was it was three seasons of storylines smashed into one season.
Yeah, it was just it was a mess.
That was the problem. See, the stuff they do, that was stuff they were going to do anyway. Like, she was going to go mad. That was always going to happen.
Yeah, but
They just-
even then, it's like the way that none of it was good. Like
Yeah, the way it was
the
handled was
fact
not.
that everything
not
happened
proper.
so quickly is part of the problem. Yes, because but even if it had gone slowly, some of the things they just decided to do were like just going. They were so focused on like not being predictable that they ended up. The only reason people couldn't see things coming weren't because the writers are being creative. It was because we didn't see it coming because of course they wouldn't do that. It ruins the story. But okay. I mean, they completely upend all of their character development for basically everybody in the story just
Yeah.
so that you can't like
Because they needed the characters to be at a certain place, and the characters
but they
weren't
did.
ready to be at that place, so they jammed them in that place.
You know, it's very. You guys are doing well at not spoiling anything.
Hey, I'm trying, man.
I think I did already spoil something when I said she goes mad. I think I
I
said that a
mean,
couple. But
it seemed like that was going to happen though, so
yes.
you could.
Yeah, except for only because of the like previous season.
Nah, I
The
think
whole
it's
thing
been
was super forced.
it
And
it's been
troubling.
it's been set up for a long time. I mean,
No, it hasn't been. And the other thing
yeah,
is that it's troubling what it suggests if for seasons you follow this person who you're supposed to think is like gonna change everything, and they're like, oh man, she's good, and then in the very last like episode she goes nuts all of a sudden, and they say, oh well, what can you do, she's a Targaryen, like her dad went nuts, that's just something that happens. What it suggests is that she had a genetic predisposition to being crazy, and that we shouldn't have ever like given her any sort of benefit of the doubt, because that she can't help it.
Genetics is a crazy thing, Richard. What kind of stuff
Yeah, but
happens?
that's not how it works.
I mean, look at Dimitri. It would be very interesting to see when these books come out. They'll
If
never come out. But it would be very interesting if they did, and how people would react when stuff that they didn't like still happens in the books. I 100% believe that she's going mad in the books too. It's just going to be much better done.
Sure, but I guess her doing that isn't much of the problem.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things. Well, no, I'm not gonna. I don't need to spend too much more time talking. It was all bad.
Well,
And
I agree it's bad, but a part of me kind of liked that moment where she turns evil because I like how it's just like something just snaps, like it just she's just like,
yeah, but for no,
you know what,
like it
fuck it.
didn't make any sense.
I think
It was not a good place for her to snap because she just won. I mean, literally, she won. The thing was over, and then she was like, "Nah, you know what?
Yeah, well, everybody doesn't watch Game of Thrones, so.
Yeah, we don't have to keep talking about it. It's not worth it."
Now, how do you feel about? Yeah, how do you feel about watching all of the seasons and then this last one just kind of?
well, not just the last one. So this is what people
Yeah,
don't realize is that Game of Thrones has been on a downward spiral since like season 5.
yeah, definitely.
They've
I
been
I
they've
was
been
thinking
progressively getting.
that was bad when I was watching it.
As soon as they ran out of books, they started going downhill fast.
Yeah,
Well, not
definitely.
fast, but
I was just recently like watching videos to catch up on like or to remind me of like the older seasons, and I forgot how much better they were. Like I got so focused on remembering that the new Game of Thrones sucks that I
Well,
forgot that the old Game of Thrones used to be good.
they pulled the old bait and switch. They dragged you along, and now you can't stop. So
they had us in the first half.
Yeah.
But I think what was I gonna say? I had a
I have to interject with a new topic real quick, or an old topic rather. I can't really allow myself
oh boy.
to go this whole time having mentioned trilogies without mentioning my other favorite trilogy, which would of course be the newer Planet of the Apes series.
Ah,
I mean, it would be doing a disservice to my entire being if I didn't at least bring it up.
now
are they
I've
on? They're like, is that third one the last one?
Yeah, I mean, whether or not they make a fourth one, who knows? But the third one is
It's
an effective
intended.
ending point.
does does the third one tie back to the first one in some ways?
Um, in that it's the same story, yeah.
Well, I mean, but yeah, I'll have to see it and see how much
Have
it
you not
ties.
seen it?
No,
Oh man, it's so good.
I haven't seen the third one.
Oh, you guys.
Well,
What are
I
you?
don't like those movies anyways.
Well, you're crazy.
Because I didn't see No in theaters, it
Oh,
never had an impact on me, so I was able to just kind of go on by.
I didn't see No in theaters either.
fair enough, but I did, and it
I mean,
had.
I don't know. It's It's kind of like Star Trek, the new Star Trek movies for me.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because, well, because look, here's how they're similar. Is the first Planet of the Apes movie I ever saw was the James Franco one. I think it's Rise.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is
Rise.
just
Rise was the first
that's-
Planet of the Apes movie I ever saw. Just like the 2009 Star Trek was the first Star Trek movie I ever saw.
So, in other words, what you're saying is they're not similar at all. Your experience with them is similar.
Yeah, so that's what I said.
Oh, okay.
I was not saying they were similar. I was
Okay.
definitely not saying
The
that.
talking apes in this movie are way better than the ones in Star Trek.
But the 2009 Star Trek is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie.
It's a very
Is
good
that-
movie.
Is it that good?
Well,
For me, at least.
I really like it, but I like it as a fan of Star Trek. You know,
Speaking of Star Trek, Star
It's
Trek
top.
is great.
It's
It's
top
horrible.
30 for me.
Like Sydney, she got me in on Star Trek. I would have never watched it, but
The
like the
TV show?
original, yeah, the original series is fun, but the next generation is really good.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm really I'm kind of scared about watching it because everything I read says that Riker becomes less of a important character in the show,
Not Riker.
or less of like a
Yeah. Well, the
Like-
focus shift.
yeah, like he isn't one of the lead characters as much.
Yeah, they sort of. Yeah, that's a little bit true. Why? Do you like? Is he your favorite?
Yeah, Riker's great.
Fair enough.
Like he's just I don't know like his. Well, I like him. I like most of his. He's a little too
No,
like
they sort of shy away from him in the end because I feel like the show starts to just start going for like more. It gets a little bit more gimmicky.
It's a
Like
complete
it starts
fiction.
going into a lot more war
It never happened.
stuff, and it's like
You made it up.
Klingons are cool as a side character, but
I just can't believe his transformation. Like I didn't think it was the same person when I originally watched the show. Like I remember seeing this bearded guy, like a little heavier, and I was like, "Wait, is that guy?" Like I figured it out. It's like,
Wait, did you start with the originals and get through that?
Yeah.
And now
well, I haven't gone through any series. I've watched quite a bit of the original because Sydney watches it and she'll like rewatch it occasionally. I'll be like, "It's pretty good." And then we were like, let's watch Next Gen because that's like the next step, pretty much.
my favorite was always Voyager. But
Really.
that's a hot topic that I don't think a lot of people are going to tell you that one's their favorite.
Yeah.
no
Doesn't
idea
even
what you're
look
talking
good.
about, but yes.
One of them, the opening is it's so long. It's like 3 minutes long or something like that.
Really don't know.
Really?
I think it's not. What are the other ones? There's Voyager.
Well, there's Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, The Next Generation, the original, and
It's
then there's
either
Discovery, which is
Discovery.
the newest one.
It's either Deep Space Nine or Voyager. Like there's like
Voyager's
clocks
long.
or something.
I'll admit that Voyager's pretty
The
long.
clock episode. I remember the clock
No.
episode.
I'm talking about the opening, like the theme and the opening. Like
There's no clocks. You're thinking of Doctor Who, man.
no. Is there like a barn?
I'm just
blowing
trying to
up
be
or something?
included. I haven't seen the Star Trek TV shows.
There's something in the opening. It just goes
The opening
on.
of Voyager is just a spaceship flying through space for like 2 minutes.
No, it can't be that then. It must
But
be
it's
Deep
got a
Space
booming
Nine.
timpani like orchestra.
Maybe he's thinking about Doctor Who because he's talking about clocks. I mean,
That's what I said.
No, it's not Doctor Who. It's
are you
Star
sure?
Trek. Yes, I'm positive. It's Star Trek.
There's
It's-
no Star Trek show where the opening has clocks in it.
It's not clocks. Okay, it's not clocks. It's something. It's really long. I don't know.
Maybe
It turned me off the show. I didn't even watch it after that. I was like, this is too long.
Battlestar Galactica.
It's not bad. It's Star Trek. It's one of the Star Treks.
The intro to Star Trek Enterprise is notorious for being horrible.
It's probably
and
that
that's-
one. Then.
That's decent length. It's like a music video for this
Thinking of
horrible
Terra Nova, maybe.
Bryan Adams rock song. And
Yeah, I think it's because it kind of threw me off too. I was like,
there
"What the
might
hell
be
is
there
this?"
might be
Like,
some clocks in that actually. There might be, now that I think about it, because it's got like all the
You're saying his deranged ramblings were correct?
yeah, like it's
it's got like
totally.
old maps and then
Yeah,
like
that's it.
strings
That's
and
it.
stuff. And
It's that one. Yeah,
oh, it's horrible. I mean, it's like it's so bad.
yeah. Like it just. I watched the beginning on Netflix and I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. This is too long. You wasted too much of
A lot
my
of
time.
people feel you are not alone.
It's good. Not deranged rambling, Liam. It's rambling. Or just deranged. One of the two.
Yes. I had a point I was getting to.
Yeah, I think we're at about 55 minutes here.
We can keep going. Unless you want to cut it off and do episode 4, but I say we just keep going with episode 3.
Well, I actually do have to get going somewhat soonish,
Uh,
but we can keep going for a little bit longer.
I guess James Bond has a trilogy from Casino Royale to Skyfall.
See, that's questionable. How is that a trilogy? It's part of a huge, like just part of a huge amount of movies.
Well, I would almost say that Casino Royale to Spectre is more of a trilogy, even though it's 4.
See, now we're not even at 3 movies. What is a trilogy?
Here's a question for you. Cloverfield Paradox, Ted
It's 3,
Cloverfield
you
Lane.
could say.
I would actually say yes. I would actually.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Defend that one.
Well, you would have to. It would have to be Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, then Paradox,
Yeah, sure.
because I guess in a way Paradox does tie back to the first one. In that Paradox is kind of like explaining everything that's going on in the Cloverfield verse. So
I guess I wouldn't really call it a trilogy.
I mean, someone could call it a trilogy. I don't know that
Yeah, I could call anything a trilogy if I wanted to.
Well,
I could
no.
call 4 James Bond movies a trilogy.
I can pick this one, this one, and this one, and
Cool.
that's a trilogy because I can.
I would say there's some stuff that you would get more flack for. You know, I think you could say, Harry Potter 1, 2, and 3 are a trilogy, but I think you would get a lot more flack for that than
You know what my
saying
favorite trilogy is?
what.
I think my favorite trilogy is Shrek 2, The Emoji Movie, and Delgo.
Well,
Hilarious.
I mean, that you say it, it's it's fine. If you can defend it, then it's a trilogy. That's what we're going for here.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
About video
Do,
game
do any of
trilogies.
them include Rising from Pits or connecting back to the other? That's
That's the 2 criteria. It needs to come next to the first one, and he has to rise from a pit.
so basically you can take what you
a
can do is
question.
you can take Batman and then
Or any other movie as the second one.
yeah, and then take a Star Wars or something.
How many movies do you think there are that involve climbing out of pits?
Okay, I feel like you're blowing this climbing out of pit thing out of proportion, but whatever.
You can take the episode The Doom Pit.
What is that?
No, it's the Satan pit. Sorry.
The Satan Pit. The Satan Pit, sorry.
Try again, sir. You failed. Still a great episode title, though.
Boba Fett climbs out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, but that's
No, he doesn't. Quit
that's
spreading
not,
fakes and
it's not canon.
false information.
Not canon.
I don't think it was ever canon.
Well, no, it was actually. I think they actually filmed it. I think
For what?
George Lucas actually said that they filmed it.
I doubt that.
No, it's on the commentary track.
I feel like he would have put it in the special edition if he had filmed it.
Yeah, well, they might have lost it or something. I don't know, but you can. It's on the commentary track of the 6th movie, and he says it.
You mean when you say lost it, you mean like somebody hid it from him, so he wouldn't ruin the
Yeah,
because
because
somehow or another, Darth Maul climbed out of the pit.
yeah, right, and then he got mechanical legs.
Why is this climbing out of the pit becoming a thing?
Because
Hey
it's
man,
part of
there's
the
a lot more
trilogy.
pits than you think.
Well, but specifically for the Batman trilogy, the imagery is a key thing because when he falls down the well and he rises up from the well and he's stuck in a pit. It's a pit. It's a prison pit, but it is a pit.
I'm
It's a
aware.
giant hole in the ground. It's descriptive.
The prison pit.
It is though.
Look, a
Isn't
prison
that a
pit.
no? Isn't that a movie with Arnold and Sylvester Stallone?
Ugh. Like
What is it?
escape plan or something?
Yeah, Escape Plan. Don't isn't there a prison pit? Isn't that an
No.
actual thing?
It's
There
not a
might
pit.
be.
No, it's like a huge like hole, like a huge drilled hole in the ground, and like there's just a bunch of like cells going down.
I think you're
That's what
thinking of The Dark Knight Rises.
that it's a pit. It's very descriptive. It's what it is. It's a giant
Wait.
pit, and they have cells, and they lock people up in there. Well, they don't lock them up. They just
Remember-
toss them in the pit, and they can't get back up. So,
Yeah, but is it like huge? Like is it like a tunnel into the earth?
yeah. I question its draining system because I feel like it would rain, it would start flooding, and people would drown. But
Remember in Revenge of the Sith, there's a planet entirely made out of giant pits.
it's basically that. That's exactly
That's
that's the
they-
best
they have
example
to
of what it
have
is.
Their ending.
He's on the 3rd level.
Help us! We're drowning down here. Well, that's for the people that are sentenced to like life in prison. Like life in prison to be executed. They put them strategically where the water will fill up and drown them
Really?
at the time that they need to be executed.
Are you making that up, or is that like a real thing in the movie?
I don't know. I think
I thought you were still talking about the Stallone Schwarzenegger movie.
no, but that would be cool. Like
That was
so,
quite a movie, though.
yeah. So like they're trying to get out of this pit because it's part of the trilogy, and they're constantly chasing this rising water.
It's like a boring version of Snowpiercer. Has anyone seen Snowpiercer?
Yeah,
Batman, if that was an actual thing in the movie, I don't remember. I hadn't seen it forever. They really missed the mark on that. That sounds like a way cooler plot of him
What?
trying to get out of the prison pit.
In what? Batman Begins?
Whatever one the pit is in.
Oh,
it's the
have you,
3rd one.
have you not seen The Dark Knight Rises?
I just don't remember it. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Gosh, it's like it's
The
the best
Oh,
of the
yeah.
three.
whole
Okay,
big thing.
Yeah, I kind of remember him. He physically crawls out, doesn't he?
He climbs. It's like a big thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because then they're all
Like
like cheering for him.
Dish,
Right.
dish, basa, basa, dish, dish, basa, basa.
Doesn't sound as cool as it should be.
I know, but
Sounds cooler when Hollywood people are doing it in en masse.
it doesn't sound that cool. It just sounds like a bunch of unwashed plebs chanting. But it's as
A
cool
little
as
bit.
it can sound.
I was talking about the actual pit climbing. Like I
Oh,
wanted to
it's
see
not
like
cool.
kind of like Dread, like the Dread movie where he goes up. I mean, we call it a pit.
Are you talking
It's
about Stallone's
town.
Judge Dredd?
No, Dread.
Carl
Carl,
Urban.
Because
the good
that's
one.
the only one that I care about.
Well, there is a good one. That one, he's going up the tower.
But that's not climbing. That's like walking upstairs.
But
There's a
I'm
difference.
saying, yes, there is. But I'm saying that it would have been cooler to have him like fight his way up through this prison pit, like level by level.
Yeah, well, that would have been cool. Yes.
And like, oh, you're getting to
It would have
the
been cool.
like, the what do you call it? Deep security part. Like these people are fucking insane. They're like, you got to get through here, and then you got to get through this part, like this part. No,
You're
isn't
basically
it?
describing if Batman decided to do the whole Dante's Inferno thing.
Well,
But
yeah,
my
Dante's
problem with
Inferno, like slash Bruce Lee. What is it? That one movie.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my
See?
problem with that, though. My problem
What?
is if it's like a prison pit with multiple levels, why don't the people on the top level just escape the prison? I feel like
Well, because like that's like there are guards at the top.
Mm.
So like a whole like good chunk of the top is devoted to security. I
think
don't know.
then
I
why
just
would you bother making the prison a pit if you're still going to need that much security, you know?
Well, just the top.
Just have a normal prison with security.
Because it's a pit. It's really hard to get out of it. There isn't like stairs leading up. Like,
No, but
it's
see,
like
the
shit is, like,
difficulty of getting out of the pit is dealing with other inmates. The inmates could just like, hey, let's not fight each other. Let's just bum rush this one, barely guarded spot and get away.
well, okay. I don't have the schematics for the pit built right now, but
I
I
believe
can.
it would look kind of like a giant hole.
Well, it's a pit, Richard. There's a difference, okay?
Okay.
Anybody can climb out of a hole, but getting out of a pit.
This
You're
movie
right.
you just created, Dimitri, has a lot of flaws in it.
Can we cast Brad Pitt as the lead?
Yeah, okay.
But Brad Pitt's got to be
He's
like in charge of the pit.
no, Brad
He's got to
Pitt.
be the warden. Special
He's,
cameo.
he's the prisoner. He's the prisoner that helps the prisoner.
Sure. He's sort of like the pit guide.
Yeah, he's the guide who's been in the prison for a long time, who hasn't decided to get out of the pit because it's just who he is now. It's the only place that he can call
Exactly.
home.
He can't go back to the inside world. He forgot what it's like to live out there.
Exactly. He kind of like he just lives in the pit. It's where he belongs.
Right.
But that makes it sound like he has the choice. Like he could leave if he wanted to, though.
Well, it's difficult.
Well, in the end, he helps the guy. He helps the guy, like, through the whole movie. And then in the end, you think he's going to escape with the main character, but he's like, I can't go with you.
Yeah, he
Like,
kind of.
this is my home.
See, I feel like you're just taking a lot of tropes and cliches and mashing it together into a movie. And by Hollywood standards, it would actually work. I think that movie would get
That's
made.
exactly what we're doing.
It'd be like the Rock movie Skyscraper, but inverted. So it's
Exactly.
in the not in the sky.
I just have to. The only thing you need to figure out is why they can't just get out of the pit.
Yeah. And why it's like a huge Thunderdome, every man for himself scenario, and then not like
because
working
the
together.
pit is in the middle of nowhere.
How about this? How about normally there wouldn't even be a way out, and that's why nobody's ever tried to escape because there's no way out. But something happens that creates a way, like a landslide or a helicopter crash or something.
No. It's the apocalypse, and in this apocalypse, the tectonic plates shift,
Right.
creating. It's not a pit anymore because there's a level to get out now. So all the prisoners are getting there, and it's kind of like, it's like every man for
You just took away
themselves.
the
Get
pit
the hell
element,
out of
though,
the
man.
pit.
Man, now it's not a pit
No.
anymore. I'm not buying it anymore.
The top. There is an
The top.
entrance out. Because
Okay,
they sealed it. That's what it is. They sealed. It was a pit that they sealed. But all of a sudden, an opening.
I feel like if it's sealed, it's not a pit anymore.
Shit.
It's like a.
Well, it's a sealable pit. Like they didn't cover it up, but there's like a like a
Like a big vault door type thing.
at the top. So they did it. Yeah.
So here's but I feel like you still have the same problem. Okay. So it collapses open or whatever. Why are the top level people not wanting the second level people to get out? Why aren't the top level people just getting out?
Because I think there is. It's not like these people like first level is literally right at the opening of the pit. It's not like they can like reach up out of the pit.
Why isn't the first level at the opening of the pit? Do they have like a bunch of blank levels that?
No,
Maybe.
there's like. I mean, yeah, there's distance before the prison starts. And there's also like security levels. There's other stuff.
I feel like the people who designed this pit designed it for a movie.
Yeah.
And this is a pit to hell. See, all these prisoners are going to hell. So like the lower you get, the more you go to hell.
And like if you ever do anything wrong, the guards can demote you a level.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody knows the bottom level.
Now you're
at the bottom level. You're going to the bottom level.
No, you can just keep getting demoted, and they're like, "Oh man, you don't want to get."
Well, now you're adding a whole other wrinkle to it, also, because you're dealing with hell stuff. I mean, are there demons? How come there's no demons trying to escape up out of there?
This is I don't think you realize how deep this pit is.
I mean, it's effectively a never-ending pit, man.
Yeah,
Demons
they
are
just
very, very powerful. I think. I don't know, man. I think you're biting off too much with the whole hell aspect.
demons don't want to get out. Why would they? They have everything they need with these prisoners. They can
Demons always want to get out. That's like demons' number one goal is to get out of hell. They don't like it there either.
watching too much Supernatural, Liam.
I'm just watching stuff in general, okay? You don't see the demon in Exorcist
Well,
wanting to
they
go
want
back
to
to hell.
mess with the people up there, but they already have people to mess with.
Yeah. So you're saying the demons are messing with the people in the pit.
Yeah.
So the demons are in, like, I don't know, man. I think you're biting off too much here.
Well, okay. You want me to come up with the Pit movie right now? We have a little bit.
I never wanted that. You just started doing it.
You will want it.
I'm thinking there's a giant prison pit, okay, and there's the guy. He needs to escape for whatever reason. The only reason that people haven't tried escaping yet, there's got to be. It's just hard to escape, man. But then something happens, and then everybody in the prison goes wild, and they all start, every man for himself. It's pretty simple.
And then also, you got to think the people who build this, why wouldn't they just build a normal prison? It's got to be cheaper to build a normal
Because
prison
of
than a pit
population and space.
I'm
But-
thinking like they terraformed a whole planet to just fill it with prison pits.
But see, if they had the pit, they wouldn't build a prison because an empty pit is enough of a prison. Just push people down there.
Well, they still
like
have.
the pit
They're still humane. Like they still have to keep these people alive.
Why
Right.
though? Yeah, I mean, you're
Prison.
shoving people in a pit. How
Because
humane
they're
are
not-
you?
It's prison, man.
You're shoving people in a pit that leads to hell. That's not exactly.
There's no hell.
Humane.
There's no hell. You can get rid of the hell. They call it hell. The bottom level is called hell. Because the bottom level are the worst offenders. So they call it hell. And that's pretty much like they originally did that, and the bad people have been down there for a long time, and they just haven't even touched it. So essentially, down there, it's hell.
Eventually, those people would just die off. How old is this prison?
I don't know. It's not
Yeah,
that old. But
Yeah,
eventually,
think of these
down
things,
there,
man.
you never know.
You gotta think of these things. You can't.
well, they still give them
can't let
stuff down there. Like
loopholes and
they have a system to give them stuff.
Well, do new people get sent to hell, or is it
Could be.
just the old people? Because eventually, those people would die of old age.
No, it's the worst offenders.
So new people will be added.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way they add them, they like, okay, this is going to be your cell block. They put them in a little tube. It goes right to their cell.
Shoot them down there.
Yeah.
I like to envision like every once in a while rations being sent down on a little
That's what I'm
parachute.
saying. Yeah. Well, not a parachute, but like a little army man. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see how it makes sense for people to build this. Because
you
you're
get
basically
it?
building a
You
skyscraper
get
underground.
yeah, yeah.
You're
I'm
basically
thinking
building
there's
a
got to be some sort of
skyscraper.
like sport that the inmates invented that has to include the fact that they're in a pit. Like pit jumping.
Pitball. Of course, they all call it the hole. Welcome to the hole.
Okay, now it's a hole. What happened to pit? Maybe
No,
I
no,
don't
they
know.
call it a hole. It's a
I
pit.
don't know. I don't know.
But they call it a hole.
What's the difference
Some
between a
people
hole and a
call it
pit?
a crevasse.
What's the difference between a hole and a pit? He says. Jeez, Liam.
You haven't even spent any time in the pit, have you?
If you've been to the pit or been to a pit, then you'd know the difference.
Exactly. It's like there's like different
When you rip
numbers.
your
Like
pants, is there a pit in your pants? No, I didn't think so.
exactly.
Do you remember the Sunny episode where there's
It's my
the
ass
hole in the
pit.
floor? And they're like throwing stuff down to see what's down there?
Yeah, that was a pit.
That was a good episode. That's when he retires and they start draining blood from him. Like, do you think there's any sewer monsters down there? Or, yeah.
Why do you think that George Lucas had a pit in every single one of the Star Wars movies?
Dramatic effect.
Fair enough.
Why do you think, Richard? Jeez. God, you don't know how to make a movie, do you?
Pit is one of the requirements.
That's why this movie would be one of the greatest movies ever. There's
Wait.
so much pit.
Were there no pits in The Last Jedi?
No, there is. What Captain Phasma goes down one, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call that a pit though.
It's close.
Close enough.
Not close enough for me. I don't know, man.
No, if it's not a real pit, it doesn't count. Fair
It just
enough.
seems like building collapsing. You know, it wasn't. Pit's gotta like be there.
You're
A
right.
pit can't be
No,
created.
Liam's right, and that explains why the movie sucks so bad.
Exactly.
Like
Didn't have the pit.
what do you
there
call
was a pit.
where?
The like weird Jedi well on Luke's planet. There was like this hole in the ground that
But
was
that
evil.
But I don't know. That was more just like a vertical, like a like a
That
vertical
was just
cave.
a vertical hole.
But because like it wasn't that deep and it led somewhere.
It was a pit, man.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd call that a pit either. Because it's gotta be bottomless. It's clearly not bottomless because she
bottomless.
reaches the bottom. It's
Not all pits are bottomless.
George Lucas pits are bottomless.
Yeah.
Every single pit in episode 1 to 7, or not
Yeah,
every
but
single
the pit
pit.
that Darth Maul falls into, or even like the Emperor falls into, technically ends.
Yeah, but
It just
you
opens up into
don't
space,
see
but it
that.
still
It
has
looks
an ending.
it looks bottomless is the point.
The pit that Luke falls into, we see the ending.
Not really.
Well, no, he goes through like a little chute.
True.
He doesn't fall down. So no, every
Yeah, he
Sarlacc's
takes a
pit is
shortcut
called
out
a pit, and that has an end.
but
Yeah, that's even called a pit.
but that's not the pit though. The pit in Return of the Jedi is the one they toss Emperor down. That's the
Yeah,
pit.
there's
They
more than
say
one.
the pit.
I know, but I'm saying there's at least one bottomless pit in every Star Wars movie except The Last Jedi.
Is there a bottomless pit in New Hope?
Yeah, there's the Luke and Leia swing across one,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
only
yeah.
one is like tight walking around, flipping the switches.
Yeah, that's right.
What about the second one?
Empire,
No, the Attack of the Clones.
There's got to
Attack
be
of
a
the
pit in that one.
Clones. I think
All of Coruscant is kind of a pit, sort of, but
Doesn't count.
I think it's the droid facility, the droid manufacturing facility. I think that's the pit.
Do they show a pit?
I think it's like one big pit with just a lot of machines and stuff going on around it.
That's not good enough.
yeah, that's not a pit.
It's a pit. It counts.
I don't think so.
Is there something on like?
Because you don't see the bottom. It's a huge pit. It's the biggest pit in the Star Wars trilogy, but it's a bottomless pit.
Well, but the thing is, it's not really a pit. It's more like, I guess it sort of is. Yeah, if you're including the rope swing from New Hope as a pit, then yeah.
See, the key thing is bottomless.
He's like, you guys are all wrong, actually.
The pit scene was actually Camino.
Camino. The whole planet is a big pit.
and then his vision came true in the third one when he made a planet that was all pit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, are we sure Coruscant is not meant to be the bottomless pit? Because he's hanging from that. I guess the big thing with the pit has to be the the possibility of falling down. He's hanging from that droid flying over
Your
the city.
bottomless pit is my wallet now. Thanks for seeing my movies. George, man.
Does Rogue One have a bottomless pit?
Rogue One? Surely. I mean,
Where'd the oogly boogly come from? Oh, that's the pit.
Oh no, the bottomless pit is where they get the plans from.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, they're in the Death Star, aren't they?
No, that's on Scarif. The Citadel and Scarif. The, he's like maneuvering the arms to grab the plans, and there's a
You know
pit.
what the
And
bottomless pit is in that one? All the holes in the pot.
Vader's
Mm.
lines.
Yeah,
Vader's lines were the best part of the movie. Okay.
They were.
be careful not to choke on your aspirin.
Did I show you guys that YouTube video that's like Darth Vader's lines as delivered if they sound like Hayden Christensen?
Yeah, yeah.
No one's ever really gone.
But no one's ever really gone.
Oh no, Shmi! No one's ever really gone. I love the there, Fatso. No monster's ever gone. Red Letter Media is the best.
Part time.
Part time. Why did they use that take? You know, the worst one. Not even
Oh,
people who are really gone. Peter Cushing. No one's ever really gone.
Well, anyway, I
Are
think we
we
got pretty
I
soon here.
think it's time. Yeah,
calling it a day?
but don't worry.
Because no one's ever really gone.
Yes.
We gotta end the recording now.
Okay.
Okay.
You do.